Let's take a look at 5 of my favorite lightsaber blade plugs, and I'll be trying them out on my Dark Sentinel LEV4 by Ultrasabers. So the first blade plug is a SaberForge ASP blade plug 4. The next one is Elite SF blade plug, that's also by SaberForge. Next is the very similar looking to the previous one, Kyberlight blade plug. This is an Ultrasabers standard blade plug. And finally, this is an Outer Rim Sabers, the Flame blade plug, and that's an Etsy seller. So starting off with this SaberForge ASP blade plug 4, this SaberForge often gives you, well, some different options for your blade plug ordering. This is the dual tone version of the blade plug. They also offer this in silver, so it's all silver, weathered, or all black. And they offer a variety of lengths to 1 inch, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, and even 3.25 inches. So this is just a 2-inch long blade plug. And let's try it out in the lightsaber hilt. So that's what it looks like. It's kind of nice. Some of the light is let out through some of those holes. And the design of this blade plug kind of reminds me of the engine of an airplane, and I think that's a little cool. Now you can either have it kind of sitting on the inside of the lightsaber this way, or with the blade retention screw you could decide to maybe have part of the metal portion showing as well, and then just screw it in so that it stays in place. So those are a few options with that first one. Now let's look at the next SaberForge blade plug. This is Elite SF, and this is the dual tone version. Like the other blade plug, you have a few options. You could also get this in brass, weathered, or silver, and the same sizing options apply as the previous one, 1 inch, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, and 3.25 inches. And this is a 2-inch long one. This blade plug also has kind of several holes in it, which is great for the light to shine through. Looks kind of like that. You have that inner ring of holes and the outer ring, and you also have this sort of reflective element here, so it really plays with the light quite well. And for the structure of this blade plug, you'll notice there's kind of this lip on the outside, which is nice because that means you don't necessarily need to put the or tighten it with the blade retention screw if it's a hilt like this. But the downside of these blade plugs with the edge to them is they won't work out so well if you're using a hilt that kind of has a slant to it at the top, or just is a non-uniform shape at the top. These blade plugs, you know, they'll get kind of stuck on one end, so that would be a downside of this type of blade plug. But for ones that are just totally flat, uniform like this, they're great, and they're kind of easier. So next up is the Kyberlight blade plug, and you'll notice that the design is very similar, which is why they're both on the list, because they're essentially the same blade plug. If you're choosing between purchasing one or the other, I don't know. I mean, they're essentially the same. I don't know that I can really pick one as being better. But yeah, so if you're purchasing an order or making an order from one of those sellers and you think that this style is cool, you just maybe add this onto it. Now for Kyberlight, this is currently the only blade plug that they offer, so they don't have any other styles, and they only have one length too. So this is 1.5 inches long, and all of these blade plugs are 1 inch in diameter, by the way, too. It's weird though, on the website the photo they use is for a longer blade plug, so I'm not quite sure if you always receive a 1.5 inch long blade plug from them or not, but that's what I received. Nope, I'm having a lightsaber malfunction. Let me see if I can switch to something else real fast. Okay, there we go. So, as you'd expect, it looks very similar to the previous one. So, it's the same thing where it has that lip on the edge, so same precaution about that. Next up is the Ultrasabers standard blade plug. Now, this is probably one of the cheapest blade plugs you can get, and it has a just kind of elegant, basic look to it, so that's what I like about it. When you have it installed, you just get this very attractive ring of light on the edge like that, and then you get a little bit of reflection off the kind of metal portion of the center of the blade plug. So it's a nice, cheap, easy blade plug to have, and very easy to customize this too. You could turn this into some kind of like blade plug crystal chamber fairly easily. And finally, this is the Flame Blade Plug by Rim Sabers, who's an Etsy seller. And this totally gets like an A for awesomeness and like just originality. I've never seen another blade plug quite like this one. They're not paying me to say that, by the way. I wish they were, but anyway, here's what it looks like. It's called the Flame, but it looks kind of like a nice ice chunk or a crystal. It can work for a variety of different lightsaber LED colors. I think it looks great with just about everything. And it gives you a unique look, you know, it's just a bit different from all of these other ones. I mean, you look at these 5 blade plugs, and 4 of these are pretty standard overall, and this one just, it's totally different from the other ones, so that's something I like about it. The seller offers this in 2 sizes, so 4.7 inches and 3.6 inches, and that's including the length of the whole blade plug, and it's made out of 3D or clear 3D filament. But yep, those are just 5 of my favorite blade plugs at the moment. Obviously, I don't have all of the blade plugs you can possibly have. There's some really cool ones out there, and there's some blade plugs that are much higher end than these, but most of these are relatively typical. They're pretty decent price range. They range from about $6 to I think around 13, so not too shabby. But yeah, that's just a quick look at 5 of my favorite lightsaber blade plugs.